Welcome back. As you may or may not know, I am Eli, the computer guy, and my project is Silicon Dojo. One of the things I do with Silicon Dojo is I answer people's questions. So we do one-on-one coaching sessions every Monday between 1 to 5. I generally do 5 of those. Plus we do question and answer sessions generally on Friday. Plus I just talk with you folks a lot. And one of the things that I found is there's a lot of the same questions that basically come up again and again and again and again. And here's the thing, right? As a technology professional, if you see the same problem coming up again and again and again and again, it's probably best to just figure out what the solution is so you can copy and paste it. So you don't have to keep having the same conversation. So anyways, I figure doing these videos is a good way of answering particular types of questions. Please excuse me, I am in South Beach right now. I'm in a park in South Beach. If you hear motorcycles and stuff behind me, it's just because people really like their loud motorcycles in South Beach. Not a lot I can do about it. Echo's good, no echo, but a lot of motorcycle noise. Anyways, one of the big questions that comes up with people is the whole question of how do you do business networking, especially as an introvert. Right, so one of the things I talk about a lot is if you're going to be a technology professional, you need to network. You need to schmooze, because the best way to get a job is through networking, right? If you're sitting there and you're putting out 1,000 resumes, wondering why nobody's getting back to you, the reason you don't understand what's going on is because you're not thinking about the other side of that transaction, right? If you put out 1,000 resumes, guess what? Some poor jackass received 1,000 resumes, right? This is one of the big problems I see in the modern world. So back when I had my store and I had 9 employees, right, when I need to hire somebody, again, basically we had desktop support people, desktop support engineers, that type of thing. And when I put out a help wanted ad on Craigslist, I would get 100 resumes. So I'd have one position and 100 resumes. And so one of the big things that I had to do, one of my major tasks was literally getting rid of resumes. Like literally, how do I throw resumes in the trash? And again, the lessons I learned from that are one of the reasons why Silicon Dojo is authorityless, gatekeeperless, free end user, blah, blah, blah. Because when you put people in positions of authority, again, they might not make the best decisions. Can anybody else agree that maybe they didn't always make the best decisions in life? Anyways, right, but that's the thing, right? You get 100 resumes, you got to bring that down, right? So basically, you got to throw away 50 by hook or by crook. 50 are getting tossed in the trash can. Then out of those 50, then you got to wade through to find, 20 that look pretty reasonable, and then the other 30 basically go in the trash can. And then out of those 20, you figure out who are most likely you want to interview. You call 10 of them, you set up the interviews, and out of that, you get one person, right? So that was me. That was Craigslist putting up desktop support thing. Okay, can you imagine? So now we're at 2025. So I closed down that business, and anyways, it closed down somewhere between 2009 and 2012. There's a whole bunch of stories there. But anyways, we go now, let's say 15 years in the future. So everybody's online now. So think about this. Somebody puts out a help wanted ad online, and instead of even getting 100 resumes, and think about that. I had an issue doing 100 resumes. Think about when they get 1,000 resumes. 1,000 resumes. Because one of the issues with it too is that it's so easy, people don't even think about it. Like they just click, apply now, apply now, apply now, apply now, apply now, apply now. So you get all these people that are, all they have to do is click the apply now button, and then you have the boss on the other side that's getting 1,000 resumes and trying to figure out how to wade through that crap to find one person, right? And one of the issues too, it's so easy to apply now that people don't even think about it. They don't even necessarily want the job. Again, it's an interesting thing, like with the Gen Z generation. I'm not even snarking on them for it. It's how screwed up our hiring process is. Where Gen Zers get hired for jobs and then they don't even show up the first day. Because like, even though they've been hired, even though they went through the interview process and they got hired, they realize after they got hired, like, nah, I don't actually want that job. Oh, look, we're all young. I get it. But damn, right? That sucks. So one of the big things you have to be thinking about is like, if you're trying to hire people, how do you find people that actually want jobs, that you can actually work with, that will actually have, be culturally similar to the company that you're trying to hire for, and the whole 9 yards. And that's why networking and going to events is so important. You go to the events, you meet some people, you start schmoozing, you start talking. Hey, what do you do? Hey, what do you do? What do you need? What do you need? All of a sudden you start talking with enough people and somebody's going like, crap, I actually need somebody like you. We've been looking to hire somebody. It's been a whole pain in the ass process. Are you looking for a job? And you'd be like, well, I don't want to say hell yes, because that looks like I'm needy, but something a little bit below hell yes. And they're like, okay, well, here's what I need you to put on the resume so that when you submit it to the HR department, you have everything that we need and we're able to hire you, right? And that's the real world, how a lot of people get hired in tech, is because that way you get to meet people, you get to talk with people, you get to figure out what they're doing, you can figure out their growth curve. Maybe you don't like them now, but maybe they might like you in 6 months, that type of thing. That can be an absolutely massive deal. And so that's why, again, you go out, you network, you schmooze, and even if you already have a job, because you might be saying, well, I already have a job, but you're probably not going to have a job at some point in the future, or you may want to bounce up to a better job. Wouldn't it be better to bounce up to a better job with somebody that you know, that you've seen how their company progresses, you trust, the whole 9 yards, right? And so again, that's the whole big thing with networking. But then people have this question, well, how do you do it? So it is curious. Like right now I'm in South Beach, I'm in Miami, because we're most likely moving here. So I went to 3 networking events last week. I'm doing 3 networking events this week, and probably will do some more, because I need to understand how the tech ecosystem works here, and I need to find some things. So like for me, I want to start doing the fireside chats again, or maybe oceanside chats. There's an ocean over there, I swear. And so I need to meet successful people here, so that we can maybe have them for those kind of fireside chats deal. I need to find like an office space or a place to be able to do these fireside chats things. I need to understand kind of how the tech environment works and all that kind of thing. And so that's why I'm going to these meetups. It's not necessarily for sponsorships at this point. Probably not gonna get sponsors. At this point, Silicon Dojo is doing fine with students. I don't really need to schmooze with students. But again, finding people that are interesting, finding a place to do events, finding some of this other stuff. So one of the big things you need to be thinking about before you start doing the networking and all that is trying to figure out what your ask is, trying to figure out why you're networking. Again, whenever you take an action, there needs to be a reason behind it. Like, I need a job, or I'm looking to work with startup companies because I want to understand that better, or I need a lawyer, or I need a place to rent, or I need somebody to interview for fireside chats. One of the things that you need to do is you need to figure out what it is that you're trying to accomplish and why you need whatever it is. Again, I keep talking about this whole thing about you need to go and look and have a conversation with the person in the mirror. You need to go and have a conversation with the spaghetti monster. And I know it sounds like I'm getting very like esoteric here and religious, and I'm not. I've just dealt with you people for 15 years at this point, right? And what I found is so many of you literally have no idea what you want, not what your spouse wants, not what your kids want, not what your boss wants. You don't even know what you want. And again, I don't care. I am not asking you what you want. I'm saying you need to figure out what you want. So one of the first things you need to do is start thinking about what the hell it is you want. What is the ask? If somebody came up to you and said, hey, I like the cut of your jib, what's your ask? Like, would you have any answer at all? So that's the first thing. The next thing for trying to go out there and figure out basically how to do networking or whatever is finding events. So nowadays it's very easy. You can go to meetup.com, go to Meetup, sign up on Meetup. And again, depending on where you're at, there's lots of stuff. In Asheville, we have Digital Nomads, we have Meet the Geeks. We actually do have a JavaScript meetup. There's a weird programmer meetup that's kind of, but anyways, Asheville has like 5 meetups. Again, here in Miami, they just got a ton of meetups going on. Beyond that, nowadays, a lot of people are using Eventbrite. Meetup has some issues. Yeah, Meetup. Oh, Meetup should be much better than it is. Anyways, not a business I run. So a lot of people got tired with Meetup, so they're using Eventbrite now. So you go to Meetup, you go to Eventbrite, you go to any other thing that might be publishing like events in your area, and you look for the tech ones, you look for the business ones, you look for the entrepreneurship ones, you're thinking about doing startup life or whatever else, and then basically you just show up to them. You just show up. Rule number 1, show the hell up, right? And then the next thing is like, okay, you go and you show up. What's it going to be like when you get there? And it depends. It depends these different meetups, right? Some meetups are very inclusive, and some meetups, like you come in and it's basically like a big old bear hug. Some meetups have like a lot of activities, so even though it's not a bear hug, it's pretty easy to get involved because they're doing stuff. There's like games, or they want you to stand up and say who you are, like it's fucking like AA meeting or something. Anyways, those are pretty easy. But there are some events where you walk in and basically you're just looking at the backs of people. I've been through those events before. All right, so the event you go to is gonna be different. Again, so I went to 3 events here in Miami last week. One was like a pitch contest. The other one was a pure networking one. And the other one was Founders Run, which was great. So the pitch contest was weird because you go there, they don't really tell you anything. They didn't even give you name tags. I actually do like Miami. They don't seem to like name tags around here. That's an inside joke. Anyways, if you're not from Asheville, you might not get that one. Name tags in Asheville. Anyways, they don't even do name tags here. So anyways, so I go to this pitch thing. I wasn't really sure what was going on. They didn't explain a goddamn thing to any of us, right? There was just stuff that occurred. It was interesting. So I went to that one. Basically, when you go to the events, one of the things you're going to notice is there'll probably be somebody off to the side. Like you go up to get a beer, or you go up to get a drink, and there'll be somebody that's kind of like looking around, kind of look about as lost as you are. So you just say, hey, so what are you doing here? Do you know what's going on? Whatever. And that's a way to start talking. One of the things that I find with these events is, again, one of the things I like about being in Miami versus Asheville is they serve real alcohol here. So, wow, there might be a dogfight over there. So anyways, they do real alcohol here. So not just beer, but you can get like bourbon and whiskey and that. One of the things that I do is I get like a whiskey or a scotch, and then I basically don't drink it all night. So I will take, again, one or 2 shots neat of a hard alcohol. Again, neat, no ice in there, so it's easy to drink. You don't want it to be easy to drink. And I just sip on that. So I put like a little taste of it on my lip, and I just do that for like 3 hours. I get done, and literally half of that drink is still in the glass, and I go home sober as hell. Anyways, just one of those tricks there, right? So you order your drink, you kind of sort of sip it a little bit, and then you talk with the person about is this your first time? The whole 9 yards. Now, one of the things that comes up when I say this type of deal is people say like, Eli, but I'm an introvert. I actually got that. I got so much crap. I got so much crap from somebody because they are an introvert, and I need to understand that, which is always funny when people say this kind of thing to me, because it's like, yeah. What I need to understand. One of the things you should understand, again, I talked about this before, I'm an Aspie, and dealing with people used to be incredibly painful for me. Incredibly painful for me. Talking to people, being around people, I was shy. I was painfully shy. Even once I got to high school, like I went to try out for the drama club, and I was so bad. Like they gave me a little script. They gave me a little script for the drama club. I get up on the stage to do the little script. I started laughing so hard that my knees literally gave out from under me, and I hit the stage. Plop. That's how bad I was. The issue was, right, I turned 18, and again, I did not have this cushy life so many Aspies have nowadays. Oh, it would have been nice. Oh, these Aspies now, these shy people, they've got these cushy lives. I didn't have the cushy life, right? I had parents that came from the Midwest. You turn 18, you're expected to get the fuck out of the house. By hook or by crook, you're gone, all right? Anyways, and so one of the things I realized when I was 18 is that if I did not start dealing with people, being able to talk with people and the rest of it, my life was going to be miserable. Because here's the deal, dear introverts. You can either learn to talk with people or your life can be miserable. That's about how it goes, right? Because you need to network, because you need to talk with people, because you need to do office politics, because you need to pretend that you care about other people, even when frankly you do not need to care about other people. All of these things are going to make your life better. And so again, I talked about this before when I was 17, 18. That's when I started doing open mics, poetry. My candle burns at both ends. It will not last the night, but all my foes, all my friends and oh my foes, it gives a lovely light, or something like that, right? Anyways, it was like, well, this is something I can do. And so I went, and I was horrible and god awful, but I did it for years, and now I come to you, and I seem like a normal human being. One of the things I want you to understand, for all the introverts out there, for all the Aspies out there, for all the other identities out there, the Stoics out there, people ask me if I'm Stoic, and I go, no, I'm just tired. I'm just tired. A little caffeinated right now, but generally I'm kind of tired, right? Here's the thing. That identity is useful for you to understand how you interact with the world so that you can modify your behavior and actions to come to a better outcome. Let me be crystal clear. Nobody cares that you're an Aspie. Nobody cares that you're an introvert. Nobody cares, believe me, that you're a Stoic. And nobody cares if you fly the pastel flag. Again, one of the things I feel bad for the trans folks out there is they think people give a damn. My identity is important. It's like, well, no. You wear that pink skirt, young man, but nobody cares about your identity. Again, but it's one of the big issues that we see in the modern world is that people think their identity is important. Again, that's why I find it funny when people ask me if I'm a Stoic. At some point, I guess I should go. Maybe I am. I don't think I am. I'm just kind of tired, right? Because it's that identity, right? Alpha male. What are you? This idea that you are an identity and people care about your identity. No, nobody gives a damn about your identity. So you may be an introvert. You may be an Aspie. You may be all of these things. Nobody cares. And if you hang that around your neck as a big old sign, all you're going to do is push people away. Oh, look, that person's an introvert. Guess I'm not going to talk to them now, am I? Right? Who the hell wants to talk to an introvert? That doesn't even make sense. Oh, yes, I'm coming to this networking event and I'm wasting $30 on this fine scotch. And I'm going to spend my time here talking to somebody that doesn't want to talk to me. Right? Your identity is important so that you understand why you're having issues with the wider world around you, and you can change your traits in such a way to try to make your interactions smoother. That's what it is. Nobody gives a damn. They don't care if you're an Aspie or autistic or any of this other kind of crap. So anyways, one of the things to be thinking about then, so you go to these networking events, and you're like, what do? I'm an introvert. I'm an Aspie. I'm just lame. What do I do at the networking event? One of the big things is you go there, and the first thing is you can listen to people. You can listen to people. Again, as an Aspie, one of the problems that I have is it's called intuiting. So apparently somewhere between like 60 to 90% of all human communication is nonverbal. I have been informed of this. I have been told this because I don't know it, right? Anyways, nonverbal. So how people look at you, how they shrug their shoulders. Oh, my butt hurts. How they shrug their shoulders, how they do other things, right? And it's one of those things like I just do not understand. So a lot of times when people are really like rapid fire in conversation or pissing contests or whatever, I frankly just get lost. And so a lot of people think I'm a good listener. They're like, wow, Eli's a good listener. Au contraire, my friend. I'm just a horrible talker. I'm just a horrible talker. And I know what I'm bad at. It's like, I'm an Aspie. Apparently there's this intuiting thing. That must be why I have so many problems talking with people when things are rapid fire. So I'm just gonna sip on my scotch and nod my head. And one of the things that I'll tell you, again, this modern world, it's a weird thing. Everybody wants to talk. Everybody wants to talk. Nobody wants to listen. It's true. It's true. Right? They talk about that with books. There are more books being written for an ever-shrinking audience. It's kind of a weird thing. So one of the things is, again, if you're nervous with talking, if you're uncomfortable with talking sometimes, is one of the things you can do is basically just keep your mouth shut. As a smart person once said, not me, I don't know who it was, right? You're smart until you prove that's wrong, right? You're smart all the way up until you actually open your mouth. So one way people can think that you're smart and interesting and a good listener is just by not opening your mouth and proving how dumb you actually are. So that's one of the things. The other thing you can do is ask Ask questions, but ask open-ended questions, especially if there are things that you're interested in. So again, back in the day, we used to get taught this in school. I don't know what kids get taught anymore. But again, when you're talking with people, again, especially in business environments or whatever, do not ask questions with a yes or no answer, right? Is this your first time at this meetup? Yes, no. Right? Because that's really fucking hard to deal with. Damn it. Damn it, I was doing so good. I asked the question, and then they said yes or no. Right? So, like, one of the things you can do is like, this seems like a pretty good meetup. What brings you to this meetup? Again, that starts them talking. People like to talk. Oh, I'm coming to this meetup for blase, blase, blase. Oh, that's pretty interesting. That's pretty cool. So what area? Like, I'm new to Miami here. I don't really understand the lay of the geography. So what area are you coming from? And you're from Fort Lauderdale and Brickell and Edgewater. I now know where Edgewater is. I know where Brickell is, and I know where Edgewater is, right? Anyways, and you ask these open-ended questions. Okay, that's interesting. So where, what part of technology are you in? You a coder? You MSP? Oh, you're doing MSP. Oh, that's interesting. So you're still working with the Microsoft stack? Is that still prominent for you? I hear Linux is like the number one operating system, but I don't know, as an MSP, do you actually use that? And they talk about Azure, or they talk about whatever their stack is or whatever else. And so one of the things you can do is you can just sit there and you can basically barely sip on your hard alcohol and smile and ask open-ended questions and listen to what they say. And the valuable thing there is then you're going to get answers. Again, like I say, for my wife and I figuring out where we want to live. It's like, okay, these are good parts, these are bad parts, right? You can figure out where to live. You can figure out who the important players are. You can figure out what technologies people are using. Apparently, MariaDB has some damn fine clustering options. Have you thought about MariaDB lately? Anyways, you can figure out what the hell MariaDB is. Somebody says MariaDB, you write that in your little notebook, and then you go home and you do some research on MariaDB. And so that's one of the things that you can do, is you can just go there and you can listen to people, because again, you're there to learn. You're there to learn, and then you listen to people. And again, these are very simple things. Again, what brings you here? What area are you from? What area in technology do you support? Oh, what programming stack do you use? Again, you can write down about 15 freaking questions. Just memorize those 15 questions. Those would be good for a lifetime, right? And then you can sit there and you start talking with people, and then they'll ask you questions about what you're doing. And then it's a nice, relaxed environment. You can say, okay, I'm new to the area, or I'm new to the technology world, or I'm finishing this boot camp, or more, I'm in the middle of the boot camp and I'm trying to figure out what the fuck to do once I graduate, right? And you can start to have this back and forth. One of the things I'd also say at these networking events is do not stab people with business cards. And that's actually a lived experience. I was talking with my buddy Ron. So there used to be these things called tech cocktails. I like tech cocktails. I miss tech cocktails. It was his own thing. Anyways, there used to be this thing called tech cocktails, and I was there with my buddy Ron, and we were talking. So his tech breakfast thing was taken off, going stratospheric at the time, and we were talking, and this guy just comes up to us. He just has his business card in his hand. He's like, hi. He's like stabbing us with a business card. And one of the things I find with a lot of people is, again, they go to networking events, and there's this idea that they're trying to get as many business cards as possible. And again, that's one of the things I want you to be thinking about, is why are you at this event? What are you trying to accomplish? I argue you should be trying to create relationships. You should be trying to create relationships, and you should be learning. You should come out and know more about your environment than you did before you went in. Again, if there's some sales or that kind of thing, that can come, but I would argue that should be the main reason to go there. And so one of the problems you see with a lot of people is they're just like, wham, bam, 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 bam. They'll go in and they'll get 50 business cards. And then it seems good because they collected 50 business cards. Look at me, I'm so successful, I have 50 business cards. So what are you gonna do with those 50 business cards? Are those 50 people going to remember who the fuck you are? Are those 50 people going to have a good memory of who you are? Or did you just get 50 business cards? And so what I argue is when you go to these things, think about meeting 2 to 3 people. 2 to 3. And one is okay. Have a long conversation. And again, when I say one, I don't mean have a 1 minute conversation and then you're done. Like sometimes you go and you just start talking with one person for 45 minutes. That's fine. That's good. No problem, right? But you go and you talk with one person, or you talk with two people, or you talk with three people. And then again, you start to know them. Because that's one of the hard parts. Again, I'm in Miami. I'm a noob. I'm a noob here. I don't fucking know anybody here. It sucks. But the thing is, right, if you go and you meet people and you start talking with them, then the next event that you go to, the same event that you go to, those people will probably be there. And be like, hey, good to see you again. What have you been up to? And now you know somebody. And then you sit there and they're talking with somebody. Oh, who are you? And then you have that conversation going, right? And then you meet that person. And that's the thing. Like, imagine if every one of these events you go to, you don't get 50 business cards. What if you just meet one person? It's almost like I talk about that with weight loss, right? So I run a lot. I did 10 miles here, right? Trying to get down to 175. Slowly, as the Nepalis say. Anyways, way too slowly, as I say. But anyways, one of the things I say is, like, everybody's trying to lose all this weight. Trying to lose 4 pounds a week. That's not going to go well for you. Trying to lose 3 pounds a week. That's pretty hard. Trying to lose 2 pounds a week. That's actually shockingly hard week over week. But here's the thing. What if you just lost 1 pound a week? If you lost 1 pound a week, which seems so low, in a year, you lose 52 pounds, right? If you lost half a pound a week, in a year, you would lose 26 pounds. Think about this. Most Americans would be far better off if they lost half a pound a week for a year. But right, their aspirations are so large, right? They're trying to do so much that they don't get there. When I think about with that, again, the metaphor here is, imagine if you go to these events. Again, don't try to get 50 business cards. Don't try to meet 10 people. What if you met one? What if you met one person? What if you had a good conversation with one person at every event that you went to? And then you went to one event per week for a year. Again, there's vacations, all that kind of thing. What if you created 50 pretty decent relationships a year? How much further would that push you forward? 50 people that you felt comfortable emailing and saying, hey, remember we were having that conversation a couple of weeks ago? I'm blah, blah, blah. I'm the guy from Asheville. We were having the conversation. I was wondering, like, I'm interested in X, Y, or Z, and I realized you might have access to those resources. Think if you build things up that way. Because one of the big problems that I see with so many people, and again, especially people, introverts or Aspies or whatever else, is they set the goal so high. They set the goal to be so insurmountable that of course they're gonna fail. Anybody would fail. Even the non-introverts, even the non-Aspies would fail. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna meet everybody. No, that's not gonna happen, right? If you can bring it down. And the other thing to be thinking about too is that once you hit your goal, you can go home, right? So the events that I went to this week, so there's two, there are three, like I say, three, two were like the networking thing, and one was the running thing. And so that's what I did. So the first one I went to, and again, it was very weird. Like, I met this one person and we started talking, and then I started talking to his friend. I talked with a few people, but it was a very herky-jerky type thing. But I went there, I had like 2 or 3 good conversations. I saw the pitches were actually pretty good. And then once the pitches were done, I left. Right? Because again, the event went on for another hour, but it was like, this is a new event for me. I had 3 good conversations. I learned more about the pitching event. I learned more about the organization that's running this. I learned more about the Arlo. The Arlo seems to be where geeks hang out here in Miami or something. Anyways, I learned all this. And again, it was at night. I'd already done 2 hours. And even though it went on for another one, it's like, I'm done. I hit my goals for tonight. I'm out. And you can do that when you hit the goal. You don't got to stay there the whole 3 hours, right? Again, the next one I went to, same thing. I went there, I talked with a lot more people. That was much more open. They were much more friendly. Again, these different events are very different. And again, I sat there, probably had 10 different conversations. It got to the end where people started stabbing people with business cards. Like, it gets to be weird because you sit there and you're having good conversations, and then random people just walk up and go, hi. Oh, damn it, I was having a good conversation. Damn it. Anyways, you just get to a certain point where you get tired, and it's okay. You did your hour, you did your 2 hours, you did your 30 minutes. Here's the thing. You have permission from me. Go to the event, If you talk with somebody for 10 minutes, you can put a fucking timer on. Fucking timer. You talk with 10 minutes. Once you're done with that, you get to go home. Again, I'm not asking the world out of you people. Not asking the world. I'm not asking you to be Zig Ziglar. I'm just saying, go to the event, talk to somebody for 10 minutes, and then you have permission to go home. Right? Because again, that's one of the things. Because people get so overwhelmed because they stay longer than they're able to. And then again, it's like anything. Like you go to these events, it's going to be like anything that, the more you do it, the easier it's going to be, right? I ran 10 miles this morning. Easy peasy, right? Wednesday, I'll probably run 12. I'm planning on doing 15. I might do 15 on Friday, or I might do 15 next week. Right? I didn't start out doing 15 miles. I didn't start out doing 10 miles. I started doing 2 miles. So go to the event, talk to somebody for 10 minutes. If you need to leave, you can leave. The next event, go to the event, talk to somebody for 12 minutes. It doesn't even have to be a lot more. 12 minutes, then you can leave. The next event, talk to 2 people for 10 minutes each, and then you can leave. And then at a certain point, again, you're going to know people, you're going to be comfortable with people, and you're no longer networking. You're just seeing a cool person that's dealing with some cool projects, and you're really interested in how that project worked out, right? And there's other kinds of events, like the Founders Run. I really like the Founders Run here in Miami. They just get together and then they run. Again, that's the other thing you can think about is like activities. Are there things with activities in them? Volleyball or whatever. So anyways, they go to Brickell. They get together, and then they run for 3 miles, and then they get done, and they have breakfast. So you can run, and you gotta talk with people as you run, and then you get done, you get a little coffee or beet juice. I got some beet juice. It's Miami, of course. Anyways, I got some beet juice. And you just get to sit there, and you get to listen with people, and you get to meet more people. But one of the things, too, with that, which was interesting, again, great group. No signage, though. Again, it's kind of funny. It's a Founders Run, and their marketing is pretty fucking piss poor. It's like, wow. Yep. You are startup founders, aren't you? Anyway, so I go there, right? So they tell you go to Raccoon Coffee. So if you don't know this area, whatever. But anyways, there's this place called Brickell, this area of the city called Brickell, and you go down this little road, and there's a Raccoon Coffee. So anyways, I go there, and I'm standing by the Raccoon Coffee, and I'm walking around the Raccoon Coffee, and there's nobody there. There's nobody at Raccoon Coffee. Are you gonna be an Aspie, or are you gonna be a man? That's what you gotta ask her, or a woman, right? So I look around, and I see this group over there. But that's not Raccoon Coffee. That's not like literally, like I don't know, see how there's that, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a kid's playground over there, and I'm here. So like literally that far away. So anyways, and I see this group of people, and they kind of look like they're in running clothes, but maybe not, because they're also geeks. They might not actually wear the right running clothes. I'm like, but they're over there. So it says Raccoon Coffee, and that's not Raccoon Coffee. So you know what I did? I put my big boy running pants on and walked over. And then you know what I did? I said, hey, is this Founders Run? They said, yes. And they shook my hand and told me who they were. Everything was good. And that's one of the things you gotta do too. You gotta push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone. Because I know you folks, you would go to Raccoon Coffee. And then if they didn't show up at Raccoon Coffee, you go. So I know you gotta look around. You gotta talk with people a little bit. Again, that's the kind of thing, that's the skill that you start getting that gets you beyond your introvertedness. Again, a lot of people at this point, when they meet me, and I say that I'm an Aspie, they don't believe me. You're not an Aspie, Eli. You're too good with people to even be vaguely autistic. It's like, wow, you don't even understand how insulting that shit is. That's either a great compliment or insulting as crap. Because what people don't realize, like with me, like when I'm around people, I'm actually pretty good with people. And then I go home and I lock myself in a closet. Well, I don't lock myself in a closet, but basically I'm like, ah. Because here's the thing, right? I talk about the intuiting process. So this is supposed to happen subconsciously. This is supposed to be just something that humans do. I don't got that. Many things the spaghetti monster bestowed upon me, that got left the fuck out. But I realized it was a thing. Again, understanding that I'm an Aspie, understanding that I have problems interacting with people around me, you start trying to figure out why, and one of the things is the intuition. And so what I do is I actually don't intuit subconsciously. I read people consciously. So basically, what most people do, and they don't spend a lick of energy, a lick of resources doing it, my little brain has to go at about 1,000 miles an hour when I go to these events. And I'm looking at people, and I'm listening to what they say, and I'm responding to different stimuli that are going on. And all of this for me is happening very consciously and burning a shit ton of resources. Basically, how our brains were designed to not burn resources on this type of activity because it's not supposed to be that big a deal, right? But anyways, that's one of the things. By doing the open mics years ago, by doing other things, by pushing myself out of the comfort zone, by doing this, by doing that, by doing what you learn is it's a skill. Set yourself up for success. Don't set yourself up for failure. Again, if you're gonna do I don't know if there's still open mics around, but if you're gonna do an open mic, just do one poem. Don't do 3 poems. Don't bring out the fucking Iliad. Do one poem. My candle burns at both ends. It will not last the night, but all my foes and all my friends, it gives a lovely light. Boom, done, out. You got up there, you said your poem, you bowed, bam, you set yourself up for success. And then you sit there and you're like, okay, what went well there? We don't need to go into what went badly because we got a whole, that's too much to go into. But what went well there? Okay, how can we expand on that? Let's do 2 poems next week. Again, you go to these events. Go to the event. Again, 10 minutes of talking. Give yourself 10 minutes of talking with somebody, maybe 30 minutes at the event. It's gonna be uncomfortable. It's gonna be painful. It's gonna suck. But then you did it. You went to the event. You spent 30 minutes. You talked or you listened to somebody for 10 minutes. You set yourself up for success. So the next time you go there, reintroduce yourself to the person you already met, because that's going to be a lot easier, and then listen to somebody else for 10 minutes. And you do that again, and all of a sudden people are like, wow, you're so good with people. I mean, you know, I know this stuff comes naturally to somebody like you. Like, yeah, motherfucker. Yeah, right? But again, it's that whole thing, like we talk about Silicon Dojo, right? It's 10,000 iterations of an action to get it right. Right? When you go to the martial arts studio the first time and the instructor shows you how to punch, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. You know, a month later, you're feeling pretty good with, feeling a little bit better with it. Then you get on the mat, then you get your ass wiped, so you kind of feel worse about it again. But then you keep going, and you keep going, then you keep going, then you keep going. And at some point, you get to be very good. Again, I talk about that with the punches. Again, like with Kempo, because like you move your entire body. Not only do you move your entire body, but then you do things like knee checks. So you move into your opponent, and then you shove your knee into their knee as you're hitting them. Like, you don't do that the first night. You don't do that the first year. There's probably about 2 years. Probably about 2 years of training before I could slip in and both check the knee and gut punch him at the same time, right? That's the same kind of thing to be thinking about with going out there and doing business networking, that kind of thing. So there you go. There is some advice for you. Set yourself up to succeed. Small goals. Build on larger things. Listen to people. Ask open-ended questions. Listen to what they have to say, and then ask questions about that. Oh, why did you pick the Azure stack? Oh, that's interesting. You're saying MariaDB does a pretty good clustering. Are you actually using that in production? That might be a little yes, no. But anyways, you expand on that a little bit, right? And you keep going. With these, again, I would argue you need to go to at least one per week. Especially if you're trying to find a job, at least one per week. Go to as many as possible. Again, I went to 3 last week, going to 3 this week, going to 3 the next week. And again, because I need to get something done. I don't know about you people. Again, I don't know why some of you people watch my videos, because everything's going fine for you, obviously. It's funny, like I talk when I'm doing these sessions, I'll talk with people, And I'll say, like, go to 3 or 4 a week. And they're like, well, I don't know if I have time for that. It's like, why are we talking? Why are we talking? Again, I'm here in Miami. I need to accomplish things. So I'm going to 3 to 4 a week because I need to get crap done. So you're doing this conversation with me because you don't have a job. I'm telling you, this is how you get ahead and you don't have time for it. Must be nice. Must be nice. Anyways, again, 1 a week. Again, go to 3 or 4. Figure out why you're there. Figure out what your ask is. If somebody says, I like what you're doing, you sound interesting, what is it that you need? And then just go from there. Even after you have a job, I would argue go to 1 every 2 weeks. Go to at least once per month. I would argue go to 1 every 2 weeks. A lot of them have free alcohol. A lot of them have free pizza, food. Think about it as like free drinking and food. And keep those relationships going so that when you do get laid off or fired, you have something to fall back on. And so there's some advice for you. There is some advice. And the final bit, again, and I'll tell you, whether you're an introvert, whether you're an aspie, whether you're stoic, or whether you're trans, nobody cares. Nobody cares, right? The reason identity is important is not so how they can treat you. This is my identity. Therefore, I demand you treat me in a certain way. If you go about your life in that direction, nobody will want to deal with you. I will not deal with an introvert. I won't deal with an aspie. I won't deal. No, I don't want to get canceled. This might be on YouTube. Because I don't care about your identity. Right? The reason identity is important is that you understand why you have issues with the environment around you. And it allows you to understand from your perspective then how you can change your interactions to make things go more smoothly. I think that's probably the most important lesson because again, I see these Gen Zers nowadays. I see so many other people nowadays and they are so up their own hoo-haws on this whole identity thing. It's like you're setting yourself up for failure. Nobody wants to deal with you. You tell people how they must interact with you and they're gonna walk the hell away. Who wants to deal with that horse crap? Again, and think about it. Think about the KKK member came up to you, right? Think about you go to an event, there's a KKK member. And the KKK member is like, yeah, well, if you're gonna talk with me, anytime you discuss a black person, you gotta say the N-word. What? Go fuck yourself. No, that's not gonna happen, right? And again, it might be like, what? But think about that, right? If you're trying to force them to interact with you in a certain way, do you think anybody wants to deal with that crap? Anyways, some thoughts to think about. And anyways, with that, I'm going to enjoy this beautiful night here in Miami. See y'all later.